Hello and welcome to Runneeti, brought to you by Brad Brick 7 and CricTracker. Just when we thought that we might go through a day in the 2020 World Cup without any upset, well, Zimbabwe made sure let us make I mean made sure that we knew that they had some other plans, and the plan involved taking the game to a cliffhanger and then sealing a one-run win against Pakistan. Pakistan, remind you, are yet to open their account 2 games into the World Cup, and this is how the game panned out. Zimbabwe electing to bat first, scoring 130 for 8. In response, Pakistan falling one run short. And of course, there was a middle order starter for Zimbabwe, but they managed 130. Pakistan too. When their openers were sent back cheaply, they had that stutter middle order. There was a partnership for the fourth wicket, but that was not to be enough. And to reflect on this exciting clash, we've got Habibul Bashar and we've also got Stuart Law. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Habib, your first words were unbelievable after having watched the game. Please elaborate on that.
It was actually unbelievable, and we had 2 games in 2 days, and predictable results. There is no upset. But today, when Jim scored 130, I mean, we all thought that it's not enough. But the way they fought back, the way they came back, the way they won the games. I mean, even I thought that even later part of the innings, I thought Pakistan will make it. I mean, they'll go through. But even the last over, I mean, the way he was scored, it was actually unbelievable. I mean, I mean, this is kind of a match you want to see, but unfortunately for Pakistan, they lost 2 games. But yeah, we must give some credit to Zim. They actually really played well today.
Now, Sikandar Raza emerged as a player of the match, and nothing surprising about it. Stuart, can there be a Zimbabwe game without Sikandar Raza imprint on it?
At the moment, no. He's an unbelievable rich vein of form at the moment, whether it be batting or bowling. He's got some tricks up his sleeve when he bowls. He's a dangerous batsman. He can really, put the foot down. He can score at a good rate. He can hit sixes. At the moment, he's just having this dream run, so he probably wants it to continue forever. I'm sure he does want to continue forever. Zimbabwe, you can't take much away from them. They didn't have enough runs on the board. They probably thought they were 20 or 30 runs short. Yet the way they came out and fought, and I thought their big, tall bowlers bowled beautifully on a fast, bouncy whack a wicket, and that made it difficult for Pakistan to score the run. So credit to Zimbabwe. Pakistan not quite good enough tonight. Once again, I thought they had a great day in the field and a fantastic bowling effort, but just not enough runs at the top of the order to make it easy work.
वापस सिकंदर रजा पे आऊंगी हबीब, और जिस तरह से उन्होंने गेंदबाजी की, जिस तरह से अपने वेरिएशंस का इस्तेमाल किया, उसके बारे में क्या कहना चाहते हैं आप?
उन्होंने सब कुछ कर रहा है अभी फर्जिन के लिए. बैटिंग में भी जिम को आई मीन मेकिंग बिग इम्पैक्ट. अगर वो रन नहीं कर रहा है तब बॉलिंग में भी कुछ भी करता है. डेफिनेटली आई मीन it's a path bowling, wicket. You wanted Pacer to do the dominant, innings, but when needed, he actually produced the wicket. Especially that wicket of Shan Masood changed the game. I mean, when Shan was there, Pakistan was on the way, but that wicket really cost the game. I mean, yes, he's so unvaluable for Zim. Either he scored runs, if he didn't score, he's taking wickets. So, most precious player for Zim at this moment, Sikandar Raza.
And there was this over where he picked up 2 wickets, was in a hat-trick as well, mirroring the first innings where Wasim was on hat-trick, Mohammad Wasim. But then it was Zimbabwe all the way in the second innings, and we'll be talking more about them. Now, Evans made his way into the 11 in this game, Stuart, and what a performance he came up with.
Yeah, unbelievable. He bowled beautifully. when Pakistan were out there 4 for 20 odd, I think it was his stats. But yeah, young man, he came into the side. He didn't play the first game. He wanted to make a real impression, and no better way than doing that by taking wickets and being on a hat trick. Would have been nicer for him if he had been able to hit the winning runs, but unfortunately, this new rule, I think it's a good one too. When the batsman is out, new batsman's on strike for the next ball, it actually gives something to the bowling side. We're always favouring the batsman when it comes to laws of cricket, but it gives something back to the bowling side. You get a wicket and the new batsman comes in on strike, and I think that probably saved Zimbabwe to a certain extent. But Wasim was outstanding. I enjoyed it. He bowls fast. Only a young man, come through the PSL system, burst his way into this Pakistan side. And look, if he keeps performing like that, he'll be around for a long time.
इवांस का वापस से जिक्र करते हैं हबीब, जिस तरह से बाबर आजम का विकेट निकाला और उसके बाद डेथ ओवर्स में भी शानदार गेंदबाजी की, कहते हैं ना, हिट द ग्राउंड रनिंग.
It does. I mean, Pakistan, their middle order is a little bit fragile. We have seen in a few games in past, relying heavily on Rizwan and Babur, and taking that deep opening stand wickets is very important for Zim. And the way they bowl with the opening batters are just amazing. Yeah, that wicket of Babur and Rizwan really changed the game because they do score runs against India middle order, but their middle order is always fragile, what we have seen in last few games.
And Stuart, the intensity was palpable on the field, particularly in the death overs from Zimbabwe. They were running for their lives.
They were. It looked like panic was setting in. Even the last wicket, Sikandar Raza, I think he got to the ball he would have taken Usain Bolt down, I reckon, in 100 metres. He was running that fast. He picked the ball up and threw, and it wasn't a particularly good throw, and it made the keeper really have to, take stock and understand where the ball was. And it was a bit of a fumble, but still got the ball back onto the stump. So there was a bit of panic. The heart rates would have been going through the roof. But when it all comes down, I think the left arm fast bowler Nagava, when he bowled that 19th over, showed a lot of poise. Yes, he went for a 6. But he showed a lot of poise to finish out that over to make it more manageable for Evans in the last over and defending 11. So, whilst there was panic scenes, there was people running around everywhere, there was a sense of calm as well, which was great from Zimbabwe.
Indeed, sense of calm in the opening stand as well, because टॉस जीतकर पहले बल्लेबाजी करने का निर्णय लिया था जिम्बाब्वे ने, और लंबे टाइम से हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं कि किस तरह से उनके ओपनर्स क्लिक नहीं करते नजर आए हैं, और लेकिन इस मुकाबले में उन्होंने स्टेप अप किया. अच्छी ओपनिंग साझेदारी मिली टीम को. हालांकि मिडिल ओवर्स में कुछ विकेट्स जल्दी जरूर गिरे. 6 गेंदों के अंतराल में 4 विकेट गिरे, जहां पे एक भी रन नहीं बना था, लेकिन उसके बाद इवेंचुअली 130 रन बनाने में कामयाब रही जिम्बाब्वे की टीम. गेंदबाजी में अगर पाकिस्तान के देखें तो मोहम्मद वसीम इस मुकाबले के लिए टीम में आए थे और उन्होंने 4 विकेट अपने नाम किए. हारिस रऊफ ने एक बार फिर से इम्प्रेस किया, काफी इकोनॉमिकल गेंदबाजी की. T20 आईज में अपने सबसे इकोनॉमिकल फिगर्स को रजिस्टर किया, महज 12 रन दिए. थोड़ी पाकिस्तान की गेंदबाजी के बारे में भी चर्चा कर लेते हैं, क्योंकि इस मुकाबले में उनके तरफ से कुछ अच्छी चीज देखने को मिली, तो वो उनकी गेंदबाजी रही. हारिस रऊफ का हम जिक्र कर रहे थे हबीब, किस तरह से हार्ड लेंथ को लगातार टारगेट कर रहे थे उस पेस पर, ऐसी विकेट्स पर जब हार्ड लेंथ आए तो उसे हिट करना आसान नहीं होता.
नहीं, उतना आसान नहीं होता. डेफिनेटली. वो सही जगह पे बॉल करिए, सही लेंथ में, सही निशाना में वो बॉल डाल दिए. And he has got some real pace. His pace is not easy. The part of Australian wicket, there's a little bit extra bounce. He's a difficult customer to handle. And he improved a lot, definitely. Wicket-taking option for Pakistan. I think when he comes to the middle, it's difficult for everyone to score runs against him. With ball with some real good pace, with some raw pace, and definitely hitting that right length in these wickets.
Indeed, and then talking about Mohammad Wasim as well, Stuart, we saw in his bowling the way he was changing his pace, varying his pace, registering his best figures.
Yeah, and very impressed with the young man. There's 16 dot balls there. That's a telling spell, really, out of your 24 balls, you go 16 dot balls. That's fantastic. And we saw him change up his pace to real fast and use the bounce and pace in the wicket. And then we saw him change his pace down as well. So he had good slower balls, good trickery, and good control, I thought, for the young man. As I say, playing his first game in a World Cup. So no, he was an outstanding performer today.
जी, मैच के बिल्डअप में हमने मेंशन किया था कि किस तरह से जिम्बाब्वे के पेसर्स और पाकिस्तान के पेसर्स के बीच भी एक मिनी बैटल होगा। कौन इसमें ट्रम्प्स निकल कर आया वो आकलन करना थोड़ा मुश्किल है, बिकॉज दोनों ही टीम के पेसर्स ने अच्छी गेंदबाजी की। इसके अलावा स्पिनर्स ने भी स्टेप अप किया पाकिस्तान के लिए भी। शादाब खान की गेंदबाजी का अगर जिक्र करें यहाँ पे हबीब, हम लगातार देख रहे थे फुलर गेंदबाजी कर रहे थे, लेकिन जिस तरह से पेस को वैरी कर रहे थे वो काबिले तारीफ।
इसको इकोनॉमी देखिए 6 रन के नीचे है वो, उसको ये बता रही है हाउ गुड ही हैज बोल्ड टुडे डेफिनेटली। और जो होता है बिकॉज द फास्ट बॉलर्स आर bowling well, bowling the hard length, it's difficult to score runs against them. So Zim batters probably looking at score runs against Shadab Khan, which is not easy, and he is a difficult customer also, bowling right place, bowled this wrong one in with some good pace. He's been someone who is performing for Pakistan, and I think today also he's bowled very well, because if he didn't got those wickets in the middle overs, Zim probably scored something like 150 plus. So he made the difference in the middle overs. So definitely we talking about fast bowlers, how good they have bowled, but definitely Shadab Khan also bowled really well today.
And another player who's been doing well for Pakistan for quite some time now is Shaheen Afridi. However, in today's game and in the previous game as well, since the time he's made his comeback from injury, he's looked a bit edgy. Today, you think he went too fuller too soon? Stuart?
No, look. I think coming back from an injury, it takes a while. He was going really well when this injury hit. So he was bowling fast. He was. I remember in the last T20 World Cup just recently, he was getting that big swing first ball, first couple of balls of the over, and at real good pace. And that just seems to be down a bit. Coming back from that injury, there's a lot of trust in your body. You've got to make sure that you don't want to. In the back of your mind is always that injury. So if it's going to hurt when you land, you're not going to bowl as fast. And it's probably not hurting, but he's probably just in his mind thinking, well, what's going to happen? So he's not quite got the confidence as yet. He'll get better as he progresses through this tournament. He had got a few balls to swing, but he was just down a bit on pace, I think. And once he gets his rhythm and confidence back, I'm sure he'll be back to being one of the best opening bowlers in world cricket.
पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट की एक खास बात यह है कि ऑपोजिट एंड्स ऑफ स्पेक्ट्रम एक ही बार में वो आपको दिखा देते हैं। अगर फील्डिंग की बात की जाए तो माइंड बॉगलिंग और माइंड ब्लोइंग, इन दोनों चीजों को हम देख पाए पहले इनिंग्स में। हबीब,
वो तो है डेफिनेटली। वो जो कैच पकड़ा बाबर आजम ने, वो शायद टूर्नामेंट के वन ऑफ द बेस्ट कैचेस रहेगा। और इस तरह पाकिस्तान को भी हम देखते हैं, सम इजी कैच भी छोड़ते उन लोगों ने, बट आज जो कैच ने बाबर आजम, डेफिनेटली इट विल बी probably one of the best catches in tournament. So definitely.
The way Stuart gave that knowing smile to my question in Hindi, I'm pretty sure by the time next World Cup is around, Stuart might be answering my questions in Hindi. Has begun understanding it. Next step is responding to them in the language. Well, then moving on to the second innings, we were talking about Babar Azam versus Zimbabwe. He's got great records against Zimbabwe. How did you look at his performance today? But before that, a quick summary of the second innings. जल्दी चलता किया बाबर आजम को इवान से अपनी गेंदबाजी से। उसके बाद मोहम्मद रिजवान का भी विकेट जल्दी चला गया, और ये 2 मैचेस में बैक टू बैक हुआ है जब दोनों ओपनर्स पावर प्ले के अंदर आउट हो गए। हालांकि शान मसूद ने एक अच्छी साझेदारी वहां पे स्टिच की शादाब खान के साथ, और उस विकेट के गिरने के बाद, शान मसूद के आउट होने के बाद चीजें वापस से मुश्किल हो गई पाकिस्तान के लिए। हालांकि मोहम्मद नवाज ने वहां पे फाइट बैक दिखाया, लेकिन इवेंचुअली पर्याप्त नहीं रहा गेंदबाजी में। अगर देखें तो हम लगातार ब्लेसिंग का जिक्र कर रहे थे कि किस तरह से उन पे बहुत सारे एक्सपेक्टेशंस है, उन्होंने रिस्पॉन्ड किया, विकेट निकाला, इकोनॉमिकल रहे। ब्रैड इवांस इस मुकाबले में खेल रहे थे, 2 विकेट उनके नाम भी रहे, और ऑफ कोर्स सिकंदर रजा मैन ऑफ द मैच भी घोषित किए गए। इसके अलावा 1 ओवर मिला ल्यूक को, और उन्होंने भी 1 विकेट निकाल के दिया अपनी गेंदबाजी से। लेकिन कमिंग बैक टू माय क्वेश्चन टू यू, हाउ डिड यू लुक एट दिस बैटल बिटवीन बाबर एंड जिम्बाब्वे?
Yeah, look, it's always pumped, isn't it? He's the main man in the Pakistan batting lineup, and he's the one with the target on his back. At the moment, we've just seen one of the greats of the game go through a rough patch for a long time, and he's finally come out of it, Virat Kohli. And not saying that Babar Azam's well and truly in this deep rut, but he's just going through a moment at the moment, or at the time now, where he's just not scoring runs. He's still a class player. He's still only one probably crunching cover drive away from turning it all around. But as that's his best shot, the other teams aren't going to give him an easy cover drive. So he's going to have to work pretty hard to score his runs. The bouncy wicket, the way that Bubba plays, he's not a tall man, and the ball bouncing above waist high pretty steeply is difficult to execute his shots properly. So, look, he's just going through it a bit. Once he gets to the East Coast of Australia, I'm sure that things will settle down. He'll enjoy it more on the East Coast. By then, hopefully, Pakistan is still in with a shot.
In fact, just ball पे वो out भी हुए थे हबीब वहां पे probably he was done in by the bounce because on side पर खेलने की कोशिश में थे लेकिन edge लग गया.
वो तो हो गया. I mean, but जैसे क्लास का बैट्समैन बाबर आजम है, इसका प्रॉब्लम नहीं होना चाहिए था. I mean, he's one of the best batsmen, finest batsmen in world cricket now. But as Tree said, he's going through a lean patch. But definitely when he scored runs heavy, and Pakistan need him to score runs. I mean, bouncy track, not bouncy track. If he didn't score runs, Pakistan always in a little bit of trouble. So Pakistan will be hoping that he'll come back, in his best form soon. Otherwise, it will be difficult for Pakistan to stay in this tournament.
Well, in this game, there was a lot of ebb and flow of momentum. But Stuart, confess honestly, as you were gazing into your crystal ball, did you expect the game to pan out the way it did?
No, I didn't expect it to pan out the way it did. That's for sure. I thought Pakistan would, maybe struggle a little bit, but they'd run away with it in the end. And even sitting here watching the TV, I thought with 4 overs to go, they're going to pull something out of their hat. Nawaz was going to hit a boundary and they'll get over the line. I even thought when Shan Masood and Shadab Khan were going together, I thought they were going to win it with about 5 overs to go. They were just scoring runs freely, and Shadab hit a 6 and then tried to repeat the dose and got caught on the boundary, which probably no need to do that at the time. But the ebbs and flows is what makes this game great. I love watching games like this. As a neutral, if I was a supporter of one of the teams, you'd be having heart failure or what have you. But watching it as a neutral, it was a fantastic game of cricket, and it just shows, that every dog has their day. And Zimbabwe today played with great passion, played with great fight, and they beat one of the best teams in the world. So it just shows cricket is a game where the underdog can actually come through and win games of cricket against anybody. So great spectacle, a great advert for T20 cricket.
But Habib, what it would be to be Mohammad Nawaz.
Usually, if you look at Pakistan last few games, Nawaz probably the right person you wanted, in the wicket that time. I mean, I actually thought that Pakistan will struggle and Nawaz will finish it up. He is a good 6 hitter, and he hit one, 6. But I thought Nawaz going to finish it up, but what happens? The sleep bounced a bit too much in subcontinent, so when he hit the ball, it hit not in his splice, not in the sweet part. So it's difficult to clear the fielders. So that's what happens to Nawaz. But he is one of the person who actually did this kind of job before for Pakistan. So, but it didn't happen today. It happens. So you must give some credit to Zin as well and Evans. And that time bowling with under a lot of pressure, bowling right spot is not easy, and he did that. And definitely, we talk about everyone else all the time, but I think we need to give some credit to the last 2 overs bowled by Engrave and Evans.
Indeed, plenty of credit to Zimbabwe and add to that 2 points as well. So that makes it 3 points from 2 games. Pakistan, on the other hand, like we mentioned earlier, are yet to open their account. So after this cliffhanger, how social media reacted, that would be quite a thing to see. Let's have a look. So here we are on Social Tracker, brought to you by Bad Trick 7 and CricTracker. You cannot do that is how CricTracker has reacted. And of course, you have a strong contender for the catch of the tournament here. There was that brilliant catch by Babar Azam, but like we discussed earlier, we got to see both ends of spectrum today. And there's an appreciation tweet for Wasim Boy. Wasim Boy is getting that appreciation tweet because it's his first World Cup game and he got 4 wickets and it was indeed an outstanding spell. In fact, एक वक्त पे हैट्रिक के पास भी पहुंच गए थे लेग साइड डाउन द लेग साइड वो गेंद गई हैट्रिक डिनाई कर दिया गया बट दो बैक टू बैक बॉल्स पे विकेट निकाले और इसके अलावा ये जो मैच स्टोरी है ये मैच स्टोरी काफी दिलचस्प थी लाइक नो वन केयर्स दिस इज अ T20 गेम नॉट अ टेस्ट मैच अभी हम काफी लंबे टाइम से देख रहे हैं बिकॉज पिछले दिनों आरन फिंच की इनिंग्स पे भी ये टिप्पणी आई थी कि टेस्ट मैच नहीं है T20 है लेकिन इतने ज्यादा हाई स्कोरिंग मुकाबले इस वर्ल्ड कप में इतने ज्यादा देखने को नहीं मिले हैं अभी
शायद शायद बट अगर हम जब वो एडलिब में जाएंगे वी शायद सी सम मोर स्कोर बट बिकॉज एज आई नो प्रोबब्ली स्टुअर्ट कैन टेल दैट बेटर but those Adelaide wicket probably a little bit less bouncy and probably suited the batsman a bit more. So yeah, I'm hoping that we'll see some big score. But sometimes in T20 cricket, it's not about only big score. Sometimes this small score can make the game very interesting. But when you play in the play team play like Brisbane part, we definitely are not going to see something like 180, 190 score. But I think when you move to Adelaide, I think we will see some more runs in the games. Isn't it, Steve? What do you think?
No, very good. Adelaide's very flat. Yes, I was thinking more the Gabba in Brisbane, where it's probably been the best white ball wicket in Australia for last 25, 35 years. So get them on the East Coast. They'll flourish the batsmen.
Well, we've been talking about runs. Let's have a look at the batters who have stepped up despite kind of hostile conditions for batting at some of the venues, at least early on, at least, and have still done well. Kusal Mendes features right at the top, and then today as well, Max O'Dowd. We saw him batting, and a very interesting stance that he has, base bowler stance. And like we mentioned earlier, Sikandar Raza has to feature in this list, considering how phenomenal he has been with the bat as well as with the ball. Virat Kohli at the fourth position with two back-to-back half centuries for him. Pathum Nisanka as well featuring in top 5. Strike rate though is something that draws attention in case of Nisanka. Strike rate of just 100. Now let's shift our attention to the most wickets in this tournament and let's have a look at the bowlers who have left their imprint. Vanindu Hasaranga, despite the pasting he got in the last game, he still has the most wickets. That is 9 wicket. उनके नाम है अभी तक जो 5 मैचेस खेले हैं ग्रुप स्टेजेस और सुपर 12 मिलाकर बैस द लीड ने भी शानदार प्रदर्शन किया है 5 मुकाबलों में 9 विकेट निकाले हैं वो भी ऑलराउंडर की भूमिका निभाते हैं मनीष तीक्षणा पावर प्ले के अंदर पिछले मुकाबले में भी 1 विकेट निकाला था और ओवरऑल शानदार प्रदर्शन करते आए हैं 8 विकेट इनके नाम रहे हैं सैम करन पहले मुकाबले में अफगानिस्तान के खिलाफ फाइफर अपने नाम किया था 7 विकेट कुल इनके नाम रहे हैं और लिटिल ने भी शानदार गेंदबाजी की है 4 मुकाबलों में 6 विकेट इनके नाम रहे और अब बात करते हैं पॉइंट्स टेबल की कि कैसे स्थिति अभी है पॉइंट्स टेबल में 2020 वर्ल्ड कप 2022 में न्यूजीलैंड ग्रुप 1 में अभी लीड कर रहा है उनका जो नेट रन रेट है वो काफी शानदार है और हो भी क्यों ना ऑस्ट्रेलिया को जिस तरह से हराया था पहले मुकाबले में उस जीत ने अहम भूमिका निभाई उनके नेट रन रेट में श्रीलंका दूसरे पायदान पर मौजूद है वही ग्रुप 2 पे अगर नजर डाले तो भारतीय टीम टॉप पर है इससे पहले भी हमने मेंशन किया था कि भारत अकेली टीम है जिसके पास 4 पॉइंट्स है क्योंकि न्यूजीलैंड का पिछला मुकाबला वॉश आउट हो गया था तो केवल 1 पॉइंट से संतोष करना पड़ा था वही साउथ अफ्रीका दूसरे पायदान पर है साउथ अफ्रीका को भी पॉइंट स्प्लिट करना पड़ा था लेकिन उसके बाद आज के पहले मुकाबले में धमाकेदार जीत के साथ अपने नेट रन रेट को बड़ा बूस्ट दिया है साउथ अफ्रीका ने तो खैर इट्स ऑल गेटिंग वेरी एक्साइटिंग बिकॉज इतने सारे अपसेट्स हो रहे हैं एंड देयर सो मच टू लुक फॉरवर्ड टू इन दिस वर्ल्ड कप because of these upsets because you can't ever predict so 2 matches tomorrow as well it's going to be a double header tomorrow as well and arch rivals clash is something that we get to see again but before that Afghanistan and Ireland would be facing off in group 1 while we'd also see a clash between England and Australia a bit on that before we call it a wrap here on CricTracker सबसे पहले अगर ऑस्ट्रेलिया और इंग्लैंड के इस मुकाबले का यहाँ पर जिक्र करें, अगर फॉर्चून्स को अपने हाथ में रखना है, तो इम्पोर्टेंट है यहाँ से 2 पॉइंट्स लेकर निकले, वो जो भी ऑस्ट्रेलिया हो या इंग्लैंड हो। अभी
ये दोनों टीम के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होगा, लेकिन जो ग्रुप में है ऑस्ट्रेलिया इंग्लैंड, पांचों टीम में सेम पॉइंट है. So it's not going to be easy for two teams to qualify. I mean, we probably have to wait till the last game to decide who's going to qualify from this group. So getting points, getting full points will be very important for Australia and England, for the both teams, definitely.
Stuart, you've been smiling. Aaron Finch has been object of criticism, more so after his innings in the previous game, but of late his form hasn't been that great. Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, look, it hasn't, and I think the amount of scrutiny that he's copping and what have you, yeah, some of it's justified, but a lot of it is just hot air. And if he's starting to believe it or starting to hear it, it can affect him. But look, he's a bit like Bubba Azam. He's only one, meaty cover drive away from turning it all around potentially. And if he does, he's proven to be, over time, he's proven to be one of the best T20 players in the world. So, Aaron Finch, he's copping it at the moment. But if he comes out tomorrow and puts it all together on his home ground at the MCG and beat the old enemy, I think a lot of those people will, they'll still give him some stick, but it'll be less. But look, tomorrow's going to be a cracker. It's basically a final for both teams now. Can't afford to lose another one. So it's a final. So looking forward to watching that contest.
Stuart, I really like the venom with which you used the word enemy. So that's a reminder of how things stand at the moment as far as this rivalry is
I've got
concerned. Yes.
I've got to be careful because I hold a British passport and my wife's English, so I've got to be careful.
Who is she going to support?
Oh no, she's English through and through, yeah. So
right.
it's a no-brainer. She hates cricket, but that's a good thing.
On the fence, and you can't be cheering for Australia in front of your wife then. But अभी अगर इंग्लैंड के अभी तक के प्रदर्शन की बात करें, सरप्राइजिंगली थोड़ा कंजर्वेटिव रहा है उनका अप्रोच बल्लेबाजी में.
थोड़ा सा, I mean, the way they are playing before this World Cup, मैं थोड़ा surprised हूँ. Probably they are taking it a bit seriously. I mean, taking a little time, but it can happen. But as Steve mentioned, there is no looking back from tomorrow's game. They have to, the cricket they are playing in past, they have to play that cricket if they have to beat Australia. Australia is such a team, they always start slowly and they pick up when as tournament goes by. So, last few games, England were a better team than Australia, but when the special games come, Australia, always perform at their best. So I think there will be a good match tomorrow. I'm really excited to see the tomorrow's game.
And there was indeed a special performance from Marcus Stoinis in the previous game, wherein he raced off to a half century. That was Australia's fastest in T20 World Cup. But then talking about England once again and talking about their number 4, Ben Stokes. He's been bowling well. He's been shouldering opening bowling responsibilities. But at number 4, he hasn't looked his former self, Stuart.
No, he hasn't. And it's a shame because he's a match winner. With either bat in hand, ball in hand, or even in the field. So, look, I'm sure that England will come up with another plan. That they've got two batsmen at the top of the order, haven't they? That take a bit of time. David Malan has been taking a bit of time of late, but it's understandable. The pitches they've been undercover. It's been inclement weather. There's been rain around in Australia at the moment. There's a massive, storm cell floating around the Pacific. So it's damaging the wickets, So it is providing the bowlers with a bit of seam, bit of swing, and it's hard. It's hard for the opening batsmen. Not too many opening batsmen are getting away to good starts and flyers. So it does mean something. Apart from the South Africans, they seem to be handling it pretty well. So yeah, look, England are struggling a bit, as all teams are in their top order. Ben Stokes has just got to. I don't know why he doesn't play like he does in Test match cricket now. Just run down the wicket, keep hitting sixes. That's what he's been doing all summer, and seems to have changed for T20 cricket, which is I don't quite understand. But I'm sure that there's conversations going on. He'll get it right, and hopefully he comes out and doesn't score too many tomorrow, but in the next game he can go and score as many as he likes.
Well, then, an Aussie making sure his loyalties are understood here. Quick thoughts on Ireland Afghanistan game, Habib, before we sign out. Talking about here, Ireland, they would want to prove that their win against England wasn't an aberration.
It's a different ball game in this World Cup for Afghan. I mean, different pitch, different wickets. This condition basically suiting team like Ireland, Netherlands. So it's not going to be easy for Afghanistan to beat Ireland tomorrow because, as I mentioned, this wicket, this condition actually suit more to our Irish player. So yes, Afghan has got some game changing bowler who can Rashid Latif and others really can change the game. But I think Ireland has a very good chance tomorrow. I think it will be a good game against Afghanistan for Ireland.
And so, do you think Afghanistan might have to revisit their strategy in Australia? They are my way or highway, but here running between the wickets with big square boundaries does assume greater significance.
Yeah, I think the batting needs a bit of a tweak. Utilise the big boundaries, the pockets. There's really big pockets. Acres of space that no fielder stands in. Just find a way of getting in the ball into that. Don't worry about putting it in the grandstand. Just put it into those gaps and run hard. And their bowling. The bowling takes care of itself. These two teams have played a lot in associate cricket over the last 10, 15 years, so they know each other inside out as well. So it's going to be a good contest. There'll be no surprises to either team. They know what each other can do. It's just go out and play well on the day. Whoever plays the best will win the game.
Well, Kobus couldn't sleep today because he had to get up early because of the first game of the triple header. I doubt if Stuart would be having a good night's sleep tonight because, like you mentioned, there's a finals up against an enemy, and that really sets it up nicely for tomorrow. A double header tomorrow. We'd be back again for both of the games tomorrow. But as of now, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining and sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.